Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's very special LinkedIn lead generation webinar. I'm Sam Rattling and I'll be your host for today. I have opened the chat box, so if you're just joining and you want to share with me who you are and where you're calling in from, it would be great to see you. So let me just set this up so that I can get the chat box started. There we go. So welcome. We've got lots of people registered for today. I'm super excited to be, here back again. I guess I just want to start by saying a massive thank you to everyone that supported me during my cancer journey. I might get a bit emotional. The outpouring of love and support that I've had from everybody on this platform has been amazing. So I'm sorry that I've been away for a few months, but I'm back now and I'm looking forward to, sharing my knowledge and expertise with you. This is going to be an hour packed full of advice, tips, knowledge, etc. about LinkedIn lead generation. If you have any questions during the session, I will be hosting a Q&A right at the end. So please pop those into the Q&A box that you'll see at the bottom of your screen. Don't use the chat box for questions because that will be moving at quite a pace. Hi, Eric. Great to see you. Lovely Crieff. I miss Crieff. I used to live there. So it's great to see you on, Eric. So please feel free to share with me where you're coming in from. I know we've got people from all over the world registered, so say hi in the chat box. Everyone else is being really quiet. I don't know why, Eric, but it just looks like it's you and me chatting at the moment. Anyway, so I'll get started in about 20 seconds, just so that I can get everybody on that has registered. Hi, Shirley from Surrey. Welcome. There we are. There you all are. Atlanta. Hi, Greg. Hi, Steve. Hi, Mahendra from India, Glasgow, Reading. Love it. We've got so many people from all over the place. Bournemouth. Hopefully the weather is good where you are. Okay, so this is going to be a combination of two things. Sometimes I'll be in slides and sometimes I'll be live on LinkedIn. It's always a bit of a risk as a LinkedIn trainer to do something live demo when you've got an audience, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So thanks, Danielle. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, let me just share my screen. So you guys should all be able to see that now on screen. So I'm doing a series of free events. Okay, so once a month I'll be doing this one, which is all about how to generate leads from LinkedIn. And this one is on the 4th Tuesday of every month. So if you've already registered for this session, you'll automatically get notified of future sessions. I do a couple of LinkedIn audio rooms a month, and I also do a sales navigator specific webinar as well, which is also available to you. They're all free every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I'm basically doing something free to help you guys. Great to see you. Look at that, turkeys here as well. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. Okay, good. Let's get started. So how are we going to generate leads from LinkedIn? Now, this is a huge topic of which I've got about 25 hours of content. So I have picked some key things that I believe that you will find most helpful when it comes to generating leads from this platform. This session is going to be in 3 parts. The first part, we're going to talk about some core principles when it comes to LinkedIn and social selling. We're going to talk a little bit about your positioning. So that's going to be looking at how your profile looks and how you can use your profile to generate leads. Then we're going to look at actual lead generation activities, of which there is inbound and outbound. We're going to talk about both today, and I'm going to zone in on one of the activities that you can do on a regular basis to actually get you more leads from this platform. And feel free to stay on to the end for that live Q&A, as I said earlier. So if you have questions, if you've just joined us, if you've got questions, then make sure that you use the Q&A box so that I can see those questions for the end session. Do not use the chat box for questions. So who am I? I've got some new people on and some people I know really well. So for those of you that don't know who I am the author of LinkedIn Inbound and Linked Outbound. I'm quite globally recognized as a LinkedIn expert, social selling strategist. I've been doing this a really long time. I have been talking about LinkedIn since 2010, so 14 years. I'm the OG female powerhouse when it comes to all things LinkedIn. So it's been, I think there are about 5 people, one hand, of people talking about LinkedIn in the UK when I first started, and I was the only girl. Now, of course, you go to thousands of people, and that's okay too. But I just want to continually make sure that my free stuff is better than everybody else's paid stuff. I did a post about that this morning. I'm raising 100,000 for cancer research. So if you liked what you see today, it's obviously free. I would love any donations to my cancer research fund. And I've got 300 recommendations on LinkedIn. Feel free to be my 300 and first. So there we go. So that's me. If we are not connected on LinkedIn for some unknown reason, you can grab your smartphone and actually connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn using that QR code on the left-hand side. You all have one of those, by the way. If you just go into your LinkedIn mobile app, if you didn't know that you had one, go into your LinkedIn mobile app and pop your finger into the search bar at the top of the screen, tap into the search bar, and on the right-hand side, you'll see a little squiggly square, and that is where you get your very own LinkedIn QR code. So that's my first tip of the day. Now, of course, you can use that whenever you are speaking online or offline. When you're networking, you can put it into documentation, into your assets. You can use it on email signatures, anywhere that you can use a QR code to get people to actually connect with you on LinkedIn. That's your LinkedIn QR code. So that's enough about me. I want to know who's in the room and what you are finding difficult. You obviously registered for this webinar for a reason, likelihood being you're not getting enough leads on LinkedIn. So I'm just going to launch a quick poll, and that will allow me to, let me see, find out your current situation. The first question is, what best describes you? So what type of business owner are you, or employee, etc.? The second question is, what do you struggle with the most when it comes to LinkedIn? Now, you can tick more than one thing in question 2, because I know it could be a multitude of different things. And the final question is, and you might not know the answer, how many new leads per month do you need to hit your targets? So those are your 3 questions. I'm going to let you have about 30 seconds to answer those. If you're watching on the replay, obviously you won't be able to interact live with the poll, but if you're watching on the replay on my YouTube channel, then just answer in the comments underneath, so that I can help you with whatever you're stuck with. So let's see, we've got quite a lot of sole traders on and business owners with 1 to 10 employees. Majority of the audience looks like it's business owners. I've got a couple of sales and marketing people on the line as well, which is great. You're all going to benefit from today's session. Let's see what's coming up as the top struggles. I'll share this with you once everybody's answered. I've got about 70% of you answered so far, so I'll just let that get up to about 90%. There we go. Right, perfect. I'll let that. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Right, 90% of you have answered. Now I'll share the results with you just so you can see on screen, but you can see we've got a combination of different types of businesses, different employees, marketing and sales leaders, etc. But here's what you're struggling with. So the highest ones are no plan or no strategy and just winging it. Fear of being too salesy. This is a biggie. I feel like a lot of people are worried about direct messaging people or coming across in the wrong way, because clearly a lot of us are getting targeted and bombarded with automation and all sorts of stuff. Quite a few of you are saying little or no responses to outreach, which is combined with that. And quite a few of you are saying little or no engagement on my content. And the final question, which we are going to talk about today, is how many new leads a month do you need to hit your targets? 11% of you have no idea and never thought about lead gen in that way. So after today, I'm hoping you'll have some idea what that needs to be. And some of you are looking for more than 20 leads, some need between 1 and 20. So this is good for me to know, because as I go through this workshop, I want to make sure that I'm hitting as many of those things as possible. So these are the typical things that I find that stop people. You've all kind of said in the poll, one or a combination of these things are stopping you. It's not uncommon. honestly, everybody goes through these, and everybody that's on this webinar, I'm sure, is experiencing one or more of these kinds of things. And I get it. I totally get it. And that's where I do these sessions, because I want to debunk some of the myths that are out there about some of these things. And I just want to make it feel non-icky and non-salesy. And it is very possible to generate an abundance of leads on LinkedIn, both inbound and outbound, if you know what you're doing. So that's what these sessions are all about. So let's start with section 1. This is all about principles and positioning. And this is about just getting the basics right. Quite often I see people going, well, I'm not getting any response to my outreach and people are not replying to me. And then I go look at their LinkedIn profile and I'm like, well, no wonder nobody's connecting with you, or no wonder nobody's replying to your prospecting messages, because people have just not got themselves set up correctly in the right way. So this is going to be about how can you prepare yourself if you are going to go looking at outbound prospecting, or you're going to look at lead generation from an inbound perspective. Like, how do you actually get those basics right? So this definition of social selling, I share it quite a lot because I feel like it's quite a misunderstood concept. But for me, social selling is all about building relationships, creating brand awareness, and staying top of mind with both your prospects and your customers. So when they're ready to buy, they think of you first. So let's look at this and break it down. When you connect with someone on LinkedIn, there is a very, 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 very small chance that they might be in the buying window for what you are selling. However, the majority of the time, 99.999% of the time, whoever you've just connected with is not in the buying window for what you sell. And secondly, is unlikely to buy it from you because there's been no trust built and no credibility built at this point. So the point at which you connect with somebody is not the point when somebody's going to hand you their money. Okay. So social selling is about this nurturing process of building an audience and growing a following of people that could be your ideal client, building relationships with them, and over time positioning yourself in such a way that when they are ready to buy, they go, oh, I need to speak to this person. Or they see one of your posts and you've been popping up in their newsfeed on a consistent basis, and they think, oh yeah, I need to speak to Sam, or I need to speak to John, or I need to speak to Steve. Because most people are not ready to buy, but it's about how do you stay top of mind and educate them about all the different aspects of what you do, to the point when they go, actually, yeah, this is somebody that I could do business with. Now, I share 8 social selling strategies. We're not going to be able to cover them all today. I've got 2 books, Linked Inbound and Linked Outbound. They're both available on Amazon, both in Kindle and paperback. Some of you type yes if you've got the book, one of the books. I know a few of you that register were like, oh, I've got your book. And I was like, well, if you've got the book, then you might as well come on to my free webinar. So if you like the books, then great. Just bought the second one. Thanks, Kevin. Yes, yes, yes. Love it, love it, love it. So this is kind of designed, this workshop is designed to bring the books to life and to really kind of help you with those kind of questions and activities that are going through everything. Now, if you've read the book, one of the books, or both of the books, you'll know that I love this equation. And if you've never read the books, this is for you. So everything you do on LinkedIn when it comes to lead generation is linked to 2 of these things. So the V stands for visibility. You're not going to get business from LinkedIn if you are invisible. If you are never posting on the newsfeed, if you're what I call a LinkedIn lurker, that is somebody that's like on the platform, has a profile, but never does anything. So if you're a lurker and you want to admit to being a lurker, feel free to say lurker in the chat box. Visibility is key. So you've got to be visible. Your profile needs to be getting you found. You need to be posting on the newsfeed. You need to be interacting with the newsfeed. Visibility is one component of getting opportunities on LinkedIn, and that's what the O stands for. However, far too many people think we're connected, we're visible with each other, now I'm going to sell you something. And they miss out this vital step in the middle, which is the C, which is the credibility building piece. So you're not going to get business on LinkedIn unless you have both visibility and credibility, and that's when it's going to lead you to opportunities. So everything I'm going to share with you is going to link either to visibility or to credibility or to both. It's really important that you keep this equation top of mind. Now, as you're building your business, it's really important, especially if you're on here and you're new to LinkedIn or you're new to business, it's really important that you get as visible as possible, both offline and in person, and then document it on the newsfeed. This is one of the ways that I built my brand and I built my business, is that I just got out there to actually start getting in front of as many people as I could. Networking events, speaking opportunities, anytime I was given the opportunity to go out in person, and I still do this today, it's important that you are then taking that opportunity to leverage the network of the people that are in the room, but also to document what you're doing as well onto the newsfeed. Documentary posts are some of the easiest posts that you could be doing, and it really just shares with the world what you're up to, what you're busy with, and it helps to actually drive those inbound leads. So if you're not currently doing that, like, start doing that, because it's very, very easy to document your journey. Now, luckily, there is a measuring tool that allows you to understand how good you are at this thing called social selling. And this, again, is going to link to how much business you get from the LinkedIn platform. The higher your score, the higher chance that you're doing all the right activities that are going to generate leads for you on the platform. And if you've seen me speak before, forgive me, you'll know that I talk about this a lot, but it is a really important measuring tool that you've all got available to you. And that is the social selling index. Now I'm going to pop in the chat box a link to go check yours out. Even if you do know about this, go and check it out, because you might not have checked it for a while, and use the chat box to tell me what your current score is. So you'll see in the chat box there a link to take you to go and look at your SSI score, your social selling index. It's a score out of 100 points. And I'd like you to share the big number for me in the middle there. See where mine says 87. If you could share the big number, if that would be great. Now, this does fluctuate up and down. It does fluctuate depending on your activity or inactivity. So if you go on holiday for 2 weeks and you don't open LinkedIn for 2 weeks, then don't expect it to, when you come back, to be the same. But if you haven't looked for a while, or you haven't seen it for a while, now a couple of Manny, you've said 37 with a sad face, right? I don't want you to be sad about this. All I want you to do is just mark where you're at today, because this is kind of your starting point. The good news for those of you that have a lower score is that it's way easier to drive up your SSI score when you have a lower score than it is when you're starting in the 60s and 70s. So just by doing some of the things I'm going to share with you in this workshop, for example, Money, you're going to actually be able to drive that score up. Majority of people can go from wherever they are, 16, 18, 23, up to 70 plus within about 90 days of consistent activity. Okay, so don't worry about where you are at the moment. However, the magic does happen at 70 plus. So you want to be setting yourself a target for 70 plus. Now, there are 4 components of your score. They all equally weighted 25 points. And your first one, the orange score, is to do with your profile and content. They're the 2 things that drive the orange score. So how effective is your LinkedIn profile? How complete is it? How much is it building your brand? And secondly, how much are you leveraging content and posting on the newsfeed to actually drive up your score? Things like recommendations come into play there, things like that. So have you been, are you a top voice, etc., those kinds of things. The purple one, find the right people, that's to do with building your network. And we're going to touch on that today in terms of, are you connecting with and inviting the right types of people into your network? And are you proactively building your network on LinkedIn? So that is the purple score. The green score is to do with engagement. So that's to do with how much you are interacting with the newsfeed, how much you're engaging with other members on the platform, how much you're interacting with your own posts and the posts of others. There are certain things in the purple and the green score that you can only score points on if you have Sales Navigator. So if you're using the free version of LinkedIn, don't expect to be getting up to the kind of 24, 25 points on those 2 ones. It's impossible without Sales Navigator to get a perfect score. In fact, I don't know anyone with a perfect score. And the highest I know someone with is about 93. I'm sitting at 87. And the blue score is to do with building relationships and building trust. So if you have any negative flags, i.e. someone says this person's spamming me too much, or you get reported by somebody, you won't necessarily know that you've been reported, but that could impact your building relationship score, because that's the trust element of LinkedIn. So just bear in mind those kinds of things. For most people, the blue score is the highest one. As I say, take a screenshot of where you're at today and use that as your benchmark going forwards. 70 plus is where the magic happens. 75 is even better. So if you're at 75 plus, you should be getting at least some business from LinkedIn. What this means is you're doing all the right activities to drive the behaviors that lead to opportunities on LinkedIn. So if you are posting content, you're more likely to get leads than if you're not posting content. If you have a really effective profile, you're going to get more leads than if you don't have an effective profile. So that's how the two are linked. And there are some different things that will happen at the point when you hit 70 plus, like visibility on your post will go up, things like that. So it's important that you know and understand what the SSI score is, that you're aware of it. And I check mine every week. So just put a note in your calendar to check your SSI score to see how you're performing. Now, when it comes to principles and positioning yourself in the right way, it's really important that you know why you're on LinkedIn and who it is that you're targeting. And this is all about knowing and understanding who your ideal client is. So a lot of people go to LinkedIn, a lot of you that are winging it probably, go to LinkedIn and you go without necessarily thinking about your ideal client. You go to LinkedIn with a profile that isn't necessarily speaking to your ideal client. You go and produce content that maybe is a bit broad, isn't really targeted at your ideal client, things like that. So it's important that you know, identify and understand your ideal client and what they struggle with. Now, the ideal client, IDEAL, you might want to write that down on a piece of paper. IDEAL is an acronym that I use to talk about who it is exactly that you want to target when it comes to LinkedIn. So this is to do with your audience. So what industry sector is your ideal client? And when I talk about ideal client, I mean like business changing. If I'm going to invest time on LinkedIn, these are the kind of brands that you want to be working with. So the industry sector, and you could have multitudes of industries. And I know for some of you, you might be like, well, I can work with anyone. I get that, but get specific. Even if you can work with anyone, think about the industry sector you came from before you set up your business. Think about the industries that you have some affiliation with that you could easily generate business with, because there'll be certain sectors that you're more inclined to want to work with and or are better at working with just because of your background and your experience to date. The D is demographic. So think about things like their headcount, how many employees they have, what kind of revenue they're doing, the type of business that they are. Are they FTSE 250 or are they privately owned? Are they VC backed? Are they fast growing and tech based? Are they traditional family based? What types of products and services are they selling? So think about all the descriptions that you can think of about the type of companies that you want. The E is the experience of the people that you want to target. So that's the job titles and the positions of the people that you want to target. Now, that could be a whole host of different types of people, especially if you're targeting enterprise type or big companies like I do. I always want to connect with, senior sales leaders. So that could be a CRO or a CSO, but I also want to connect with directors and managers because they influence a decision, and they're quite often, especially in marketing and sales, they quite often influence the decision. They don't necessarily sign off the overall project, but they are people that I want to be connecting with. So think about the job titles of the people that you want to target. Write every single version of those down. That's really important. So don't just write HR. Write down all the different job titles that somebody in HR could have. So all these days, there's a lot of different variations. So they could be the chief happiness officer, they could be the chief people officer, the chief culture officer, whatever it is. There are going to be lots of different versions of the job titles. And when you're looking on LinkedIn, when I show you later today in the workshop how you actually go find these people, it's important that you know all the different types of job titles you could be going for. The attributes are things that they have in common. So I like to work with companies who are proactive, that support their staff, that develop their people, that are fast growing. Like there's certain attributes that are like, oh, they're really good companies for me to work with because they're more likely to be open to what I have to offer. And quite often our culture of our own business and our own personal values quite often aligns with the attributes of the clients that we attract. So think about the types of attributes that you want to be thinking about. And the final thing, the L, is where are they based? So don't do it now, but after the workshop, really kind of dig into this. You should spend 20-30 minutes on this kind of activity just to kind of really think about, like, who is it that I'm going after on LinkedIn? And secondly, what's your message to them? What pain points do you solve? What do you do for these ideal clients? How do you help them? And this, again, is important to spend some time on, because there's no point in going to LinkedIn if you don't know your product, your offer, your message, and your audience. These are 4 key components. When we work with clients, we call this clarity, and it's really important stage and a step that most people miss out on before they actually go to LinkedIn to actually get business. So if you don't know your product, your offer, your message, and your audience, that's a lot of the reason sometimes why people are just not getting business from LinkedIn. Now, when it comes to your positioning and your profile, bearing all of those things in mind, it's really important that your profile reflects who it is that you're trying to target. So the first thing that you need for an effective LinkedIn profile is it's really got to speak to your ideal client, like in a way that just hits them right here. When you connect with somebody and a few of you were saying, like, I'm not getting response, or people are not connecting with me, you've got low acceptance rates, you should be hitting around a 50% acceptance rate when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn. If you're way less than 50%, there's probably something wrong with your profile. Not wrong, but it's just probably not speaking and connecting with your ideal client enough. The second part of having an effective profile is all about making sure you really make it clear, like, how do you solve this client's problem? Like, when you go to your LinkedIn profile, does it really communicate that, or is it all about you? It needs to build your credibility as an individual, and it needs to build your credibility and showcase your business as well. So it's about you as a person, but also your business. It also needs to get you found in search results. Would you believe it, that LinkedIn actually is very keyword searchable? There are 7 places on your LinkedIn profile that you can optimize with the right keywords to get you found. And that gets you found both in the LinkedIn environment, but also now on the Google platform as well. So you can position yourself on page 1 of Google just by optimizing your profile in the right way. I'm working with a client at the moment. I'm doing some one-on-one coaching, and he's in a very, very niche space. In fact, there are only 450 of them in the world on LinkedIn. And can you believe that out of 1 billion profiles, there's only 450 of them? I'm like, right, we can really leverage your profile, actually get you found when someone goes looking for what it is that you do. So it gets you found in search results. And finally, it's compelling your visitors on your profile to take action. So we'll cover a few things that can help you with this, but what do you want these ideal clients to do next? Like, to get them into your sales funnel so that they become leads for you, because it's important that your LinkedIn profile is actually driving people somewhere so that they know what the next step is they can take with you. And ultimately, your profile needs to ooze credibility. Your profile is like your shop window to the world, and it is literally networking for you 24/7. You know, you could be asleep and somebody over in the States or in the Middle East or in the other side of the world, in Australia, New Zealand, could be literally looking at your profile in the middle of the night. When you're asleep, there could be somebody actually looking at your profile. All of you guys are here on this webinar with me right now. Your ideal client could be looking at your LinkedIn profile. Like, you need to think about your profile as a digital ambassador and a shop window to the world that is networking for you 24/7. That's the best way to think about your profile. Now, there's a few different parts of your profile that you can focus on. It's really important, first of all, that your profile branding, like your header image and your headshot, like, really look the part. Okay, it's really important real estate up there. It doesn't have to say what it is that you do, but it needs to be clear and be very focused on connecting your branding all together. You can now get your profile verified, so you can do that. Now, there's a bit of controversy around that in terms of you having to get verified with your passport, things like that. But clients that I work with have seen a marked improvement on visibility just by getting verified. It's just getting rid of all the fake profiles on the platform. So go through the verification process if you haven't already, to get that little tick box so that LinkedIn knows you are a real person and not a fake profile. You can also use an audio pronunciation on your profile. Again, that's a bit of a call to action. Go listen to mine afterwards. It isn't just my name pronunciation, it has a little call to action in there as well. Your professional headline, that's the bit under your name, can really do a lot to help you, you know, when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to lead generation. You know, what you don't want in there is director at ABC Consultants, because who knows what ABC Consultants does, and who cares that you're a director. It's really, really important that you're focused on your professional headline, making sure your clients know exactly what it is that you do and how you help them. If you have a premium account or a Sales Navigator account, you can also use the custom button feature. Mine is currently set to book an appointment. You can also have things like subscribe to newsletter, visit my website. There's lots of different things that you can do with your custom button if you are on a paid version of LinkedIn, and that can be used to generate leads as well. Your about section, you don't have to read mine, but it's important that I said on the one of the key things about your profile is making sure that your profile viewers take some kind of action. So on mine, I've got a free prospecting tips guide for sales leaders and their sales teams. So I drive people from my about section to go and download something. They do need to exchange their email address to do that. That creates an opportunity for me to interact with that person. So that's a very loose lead at the top of my sales funnel. Same with the complete guide to social selling. It's 37 pages PDF. Again, people can go to my profile and they can download that, and they can book a call with me. I do 10 free strategy calls every single month. Everyone that's on here, I'm going to give you the opportunity to book in a strategy call with me, completely free, no obligation. And those are designed to help people. And we just go through your very kind of bespoke strategy for your own personal circumstances. And again, people can do that from my profile. Currently, I get between 3 and 5 meetings a week just by having the opportunity to book a strategy call with me on my LinkedIn profile. So those just come in on, not on autopilot, but they come in naturally. So is your profile doing that for you? That's a rhetorical question. And also, if you were your ideal client, like take a step back today and have a look at it and think, actually, would I buy from me today? If I read my own profile, would I be like, actually, yeah, I will download that, or I will go book a meeting with her, or I will actually want to connect with this person? Because if the answer to that question is no, you have some work to do, I'm afraid, on your profile. The next thing is to think about, is your LinkedIn profile a lead generation tool? Is your LinkedIn profile doing that for you? So is it generating you leads? Is it booking meetings for you? Is it helping you build your email list? Is it taking people to the next stage? Because if any of those things are not happening, you've got some work to do. Sorry to say, everybody. So that was the end of section 1. Give me an emoji in the chat box if you found any of that helpful. Choose an emoji. There's a little button there. You can, I'll choose a cat. There we go. I'll choose that one as mine. But pop your, or use the reactions. Oh yeah, I saw some little clapping hands. Oh yeah, I switched that on beforehand. I've never used that before. So give me some reactions either in the chat box or give me a little reaction underneath. I love it seeing all the little things going on the screen. Brilliant. Okay, good. So you're all still here, which is a good thing. So now we're into section 2, which is all about LinkedIn lead generation on LinkedIn. So we've got the inbound and the outbound. Okay, so they're two things, two types of leads that you can generate. And I'm going to talk a little bit about inbound and outbound because they are very different and they need to be understood when it comes to lead generation. So inbound are great, right? They come in, someone's like, I've been following you for years, Sam, can we have an appointment? Like, I want to book you, I want you to speak at this event, etc., etc. Great. The problem with them, with inbound, is it's very reactive, it's inconsistent, you can't control how many of them you get a month. Quite often it might not be the right prospects, and I say that respectfully for anyone that's ever sent me a message, but you can't control who sends you an inbound message. It might be somebody that's, you know, maybe not the perfect customer for you, which is fine. But in terms of you actually hitting your numbers and getting the number of leads that you want, quite often it's not always the right types of people. They can be a bit unreliable. So they can be, and then when I say unreliable, I mean that you can't rely on them alone. A lot of people say to me, oh, I'm posting on LinkedIn and I'm doing engagement and I'm connecting with people and like I'm hoping that I get somebody message me. Now, what you don't want is a hope strategy, okay? You don't want to be like, I hope somebody sees my post and wants me to work with them. Like, they should be the cherry on top. Like, they should be the extra added bonus ones that come in, but they shouldn't be the ones that you completely rely on. So when I'm looking at how many leads I need in a month, I don't count my inbound. I just focus on my outbound ones, because the inbound ones, they can take time to build. If you're new to LinkedIn or if you don't have a big network right now, they can take a bit of time to start happening. Once you've built your brand and your positioning's there and all of that kind of good stuff, you will get a consistent flow of inbound, but it takes time and it doesn't happen for everyone. So that's how I feel about inbound. I love inbound. They're much easier to close, but if you're new here or if you're new to business, like, don't start expecting loads of inbound leads, right? It can take time for them to happen. Now let's talk about outbound and why I love outbound. It's proactive, you're in control, and you decide who you want to connect with. You decide who it is you're going to reach out to. You can consistently create outbound leads by the volume of work that you're doing from a lead gen perspective. It's the right prospects for you because you're only connecting with your ideal client, as in the ideal that we've just gone through in the previous section. It's more reliable and it can be more immediate. Okay, so it still takes a bit of work and it takes a bit of testing and all those kind of things, but outbound is where you're in full control. You can control how many people you invite. You can control how many outbound messages and how many direct messages you send. You can control how many video messages and how many voice notes you send. You're not relying on hope. You are actually working a proper strategy. And at the beginning, when I asked you in the poll, a lot of you said, I just don't have a strategy and I don't have a plan. Like, I know exactly how many CROs and CSOs I need to connect with each month. I know exactly how many meetings I need. I know everything. And that's because I know that my outbound is reliable. My inbound is just extra on top. And speaking of numbers, because quite a few of you at the start said, I had never thought about it like this. These are the kind of numbers you need to know when it comes to lead generation, because I find it staggering how many companies and business owners do not know their numbers inside out when it comes to these kind of things. So the first thing is, how many new leads do you need each month? Now, for those of you that answered in the poll, you wrote a number down. Great. For those of you that are like, oh, I've never thought about that, just decide how many leads you need each month. And that will be based on a number of factors. Things like, how many email subscribers do you need each month? Now, some of you might be saying, well, I'm not picking up any email subscribers from LinkedIn. Well, why not? Like, it's a massive opportunity. Myself and our team at Pipeline 44, we have a target of 500 each month. And that's between myself, Nick, Chris, and Elise. We go and out to on LinkedIn. And one of our big targets is, if we put 500 people a month onto our email list, we know that that's going to put X number of people onto our events. And then we know exactly how many people come to our events, and then exactly how many meetings book, and exactly how many new clients come out the other end. So knowing your numbers is key, because that makes sure that you've got this lead generation machine happening. Now think about, how many meetings do you need each month? Just because someone's a lead doesn't necessarily mean you're going to spend one-to-one time with them in an actual meeting. So how many meetings do you need each month? And you'll need to do this for every product and service that you have. I know that I need to have at least 10 meetings each month with a corporate who's got a sales team or a marketing team or both, in order for me to hit my numbers and my sales targets. So that's my only job each month, is to get 10 secured corporate meetings every single month. That's what I need. And then I know that if I do that, because I know my conversion rates, how many people are actually going to become customers. Now, for our other product, for the Academy, it's a different number because it's a much more high volume product. But I know for my corporate prospecting, that's what I need. I also know how many meetings that I have actually convert into clients, because I know my conversion numbers. So I know I need X number of leads to get me X number of meetings to get me X number of converted clients. Now, again, with a corporate, I might have to have 2 or 3 meetings to close a much bigger deal. But with our academy customers, I know that they are one meeting and they become a customer. So again, how many meetings do you need per product or service to actually convert a client? Then you've got something else to factor in before you get all excited. What is your conversion rate from cold leads? Because if at the moment you're only relying on inbound and referrals, they're much easier to close and have a much higher conversion rate in my experience, because there's an element of credibility and trust already built there. However, when it comes from cold leads, i.e. someone that doesn't know you that well or comes from your outbound prospecting, there'll be a different conversion rate when it's cold versus when it's warmed up. So what's your conversion rate from referrals? I quite often have people say to me, I just have to get in front of someone and I can close them. But quite often that's from referrals or from warmed up leads. When you've got cold and when you've got warmed up, it's going to be different. Okay. I know that I'll get about a 95% conversion where somebody's referred me quite heavily, or it comes inbound. I've got a pretty good idea that it's going to be fairly easy to close. When it's cold, it could be a lot longer. And finally, what's the average length of your sales cycle? What that means is from the point when someone becomes a lead to the point when they sign contract and pay you, what's your average sales cycle? Now, that again will be different for each product and service. For me at the minute, I'm about 3 to 6 months on a corporate deal. But then with an academy customer who's paying 50 quid a month, I know that it's about 2 weeks maximum. All right. So that's the average length of sales cycle. That's if someone has a meeting with me and then they decide to become an academy customer. If they're going through a slightly longer process without events, etc., it might be that they watch 3 or 4 events before they become a client. But we know the numbers. The point here is you've got to know your numbers for your business. So type numbers if you know the answer to all of those. If you have no idea, type no idea. I just want to know where you're at. And be honest, like you might know some of them, but I'm talking about, do you know every single one of those numbers for your business? So type no idea if you don't. If you know them all, type numbers. Of course you do, Nicholas Jones. No idea, not at all, love it. Oh, I don't love it. I do love it in the fact that you need to get this, like you need to get clear on this, because you're on LinkedIn, you're spending all this time on LinkedIn and you're out there going, I've no idea what numbers I need to actually secure to get business into my pipeline. So this is basic pipeline knowledge. Like if you have not got an idea right now, one of your big actions is either to sit down and work it out with me in one of the calls that I'm going to offer at the end of this, or go off and do that work yourself, because there is no point in you doing all the activities on LinkedIn if you've no idea where it's going to lead to. Okay. And it's, again, don't feel bad. It's not uncommon at all. It's not your fault. It's just something you haven't worked on yet. And that's one of the reasons I do these, to bring attention to these kinds of things. And trust me, it's not just small businesses. I work with everything from MasterCard, FedEx, Brother, all these big companies, and a lot of them don't know the numbers either. So it's all good. Everybody's in the same boat. So there are 8 core activities that generate leads on LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about all 8 of them, but not today. I'm going to focus on one of them today. And as I do these free workshops, I'm going to pick one each month. And the first one is going to be today, and then the other ones are going to have something else. So these are the 8 core kind of lead gen activities that everyone should be doing. So the first one is network building and growing your audience. The second is starting conversations and direct messages, the ones that you will probably feel a bit icky about. There's ways to do that without feeling icky. Creating content on the newsfeed, that we no surprise that one's there. Engagement, commenting, reacting, those kinds of things is another activity. Running and hosting events is another lead gen activity that can be driven by LinkedIn. You're all experiencing one right now. Newsletters and articles, documenting your journey and positioning yourself and focusing in on your personal brand. These are all lead gen activities that every one of us is probably doing at the minute, but all of you are saying you're not getting enough business from the platform, and there will be reasons for that we can identify when we sit down together. So for those of you that book a call with me, all I'm going to do is going to identify where are your gaps at the moment and where are the gaps in your process right now. So today I'm going to focus on network building and growing your audience. Okay, so that's the one that's going to be today's topic. And we've got about 15-20 minutes left. So I'm going to do about 15 minutes on that, and then we'll go into Q&A. I'm happy to stay on longer for those of you that need it. If you do have questions already, I can see that there's a couple of questions already in the chat box. So if you do have a specific question, use the Q&A, don't use the chat box for those, and I'll be happy to stay on to do those. So network building is a core lead gen activity. It's really important that you're doing this. It should be carried out every month, every day, for you to set you up for prospecting success. Now, you do have between 150 and 200 invites a week available to you for you to connect with your ideal client. Are you maxing them out right now? Because if you're not maxing them out, you're missing an opportunity to build your audience. What that works out to is somewhere around 30 to 40 invitations a day. You don't have to do as many of that, but if you're all here going, I need more leads, I need more business, you need to be maxing out your invitations. It's different for everyone, but again, test and measure it to see how many invitations you've got right now. Mine's at around 180. So I send 180 invitations to chief revenue officers, chief sales officers, sales directors, sales managers. This is the proactive outbound outreach. So if you want to generate leads with your ideal client, this is where you're going to be connecting with your ideal client. As I say, 50% is a good benchmark for acceptance rates. So if you're not getting 50% acceptance rate right now, you need to make sure that there's, identify what is it that's holding you back from that, and we can work that out together. So I'm going to go onto LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you how you can find and identify your ideal client on LinkedIn. I'm going to do this on the free version of LinkedIn because that's where most people are at. If you're like, how do I do this on Sales Navigator? I already do Sales Navigator workshops. In fact, the last one that I did 2 weeks ago, which is going up on my YouTube channel tomorrow, has how do I do this on Sales Nav. So today I'm going to focus on how do I do this on LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of the slideshow and I'm going to go into LinkedIn. Just give me a second and I will go on live. Always a worry when I go live and do a demo on LinkedIn. I'm just looking here now to see. Just going to go on to, there we are. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm just going to open up my desktop for you. There we go. I'll just share that now. There we go. Right, you guys should be able to see my LinkedIn on screen now, which is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how would you search for somebody in LinkedIn if you were on the free version of LinkedIn. Now, one of the techniques I'm going to give you is called Boolean search. And what that is, it allows you to search for more than one thing in one search, because as a free user of LinkedIn, you end up with hitting what we call commercial search limits. So as you use the search bar on LinkedIn, it's going to restrict you each month, each calendar month, as to how many searches you can do. So I'm going to do a search in here. Most people would do kind of a very basic search. They might type in managing director and then hit return. That would be one search. CEO, hit return, another search, for example. So I'm going to give you a way to actually search for more than one thing. You'll see on here, I've done some training for a client yesterday who targets council. So that's what I was doing yesterday. So I'm going to show you, let's say you were targeting business owners, right? So managing director or chief executive officer. Now, what you're going to do is, if it's a phrase like chief executive officer, you're going to put it in speech marks or inverted commas. And when you use the or, you're going to use the or in capital letters, because they might be calling themselves CEO or they might be calling themselves business owner, but you choose whatever your job titles are that you're searching for on LinkedIn. Just make sure that you insert a selection of those job titles in here. Now I'm going to hit return, And the first thing LinkedIn's going to do is going to show me what am I actually searching for. So you've got the option of people, post, jobs, groups, companies, etc. I'm going to choose people because I want a people search to come up. And it's now going to show me that there are 16,400,000 people on LinkedIn with those words on their LinkedIn profile, which of course is way too many. But luckily, LinkedIn does give you some filters for you to break this down. Now, I always recommend prospecting at second degree, which means the connections of your connections. It's a little bit more warmed up at second degree than trying to go for people that you have no people in common with. So I'll always choose second degree when I'm searching, and that will be different for everyone. If you just did this search along with me, I've gone from 16.4 million to 769,000. Now, bear in mind, I have almost 30,000 first degree connections on LinkedIn. So my second degree network is huge. If you're here and you've only got 500 connections, you're not going to get those kind of numbers, but definitely make sure that you're using second degree. Now, I'm just going to take a copy and paste of that up there, and you'll know why in just a second. You've then got the option to go into all filters. So I'm going to go to all filters, and on the right hand side, a new search comes up. Now, let's say I wanted people in the UK. Now, you can go by city. So if I wanted people local to me, Derby, Nottingham, etc., you can choose on the free version of LinkedIn big cities. You can't choose villages or very small places. You can choose London, Birmingham, Manchester, etc., or whichever part of the world you're in. But I'm going to go for whole of UK. And under here, I can see there's a few things you can look at, things like connections of a certain person or followers of a specific creator, previous companies, things like that. But you've also got then the industry breakdown. And if you remember when we did the ideal client, the I stood for industry, and this is where you can add those industries. So I'm going to go for like when we are working with clients in our academy, quite a lot of people that come to us are like coaches, consultants, those types of people, for example. So I'm going to choose business consulting and professional training and coaching, okay, just as an example. And then under here, you've got the option to add in some additional keywords. Now, the search I've done here, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily currently an MD or a chief executive officer. But if I now put the same search into the title box down here, it means that it's going to search their job title specifically. So now I can click on show results, and I should be seeing a much more restricted search now. So I've got 13,000 results coming up, which from 16.4 million down to 13,000. This is still quite broad. So what I would probably do is change this to like a local town. So let me choose Derby, which is where I'm based, and show results. Just as an example, so if I wanted to look at local people who are consultants and coaches who live in Derby, who are in my second degree network, I've got 83 coming up. So within about 5 minutes, I've gone from 16.4 million down to 83 people who are all a good match for my target audience and my ideal client when it comes to our academy. If I were looking for CROs and CSOs, all I would do is change what's inside here to CRO, CSO, Chief Sales Officer, Chief Revenue Officer, for example. So that's how you would use the free version of LinkedIn to filter down your ideal client. Quite often people spend hours and hours like trying to locate their perfect person, but they don't really know how to break this down. There are many things you can do with Boolean search. It doesn't have to be job titles. It could be a keyword, for example. If I also wanted to get specific, so let me go here. Let's do one more little trick and then we'll go into questions. So what I've done is I've gone UK, I'm back to 13,000 results. But let's say I wanted to have something in common with these people. So I might want to choose, I'm going to put an and then I'm going to go single mom, because I am one, or cancer. It's quite often people talk about being a cancer survivor, for example. So they would naturally want to accept my connection because I'm talking about the fact that I raise 100,000 for cancer research, for example. So now I'm looking at people that have either single mom or cancer on their profile, who are MDs, chief executive officers, or business owners. And now I've got 294 results coming up. So you can see now that, and somewhere on their profile, they'll talk about the fact that they're a single mom, or the fact that they are involved in cancer or have had cancer or whatever it might be. So now I've got something in common with these people, so they're more likely to accept my connection request. So that is how you would use the free version of LinkedIn to find and identify your target audience. What you would then do is hit the connect button with those people and max out your invitations for a week. So I would go down that list, and I might do it every day, or I might do it once a week, and I would just go through and connect. Now, it used to be that sending a personalized connection request invitation with it was the thing to do. However, in our experience working with a couple of hundred clients in our academy, plus our agency clients, plus our corporate clients, that's a lot of clients, it is higher chance of you getting an acceptance without a message. And the reason for that is that everybody is just sick of getting spammed and pitched on LinkedIn. So people are less likely to accept it if you're putting a note with it or an invitation with it. Sometimes they will do it if I want to really personalize, but in general, like, you would just hit connect and invite those people. So let's go back to our slides. And I will finish off by saying, like, social selling and all this stuff just isn't easy. It does take a bit of effort. It does take some grafting, and it does take lots of testing to actually get this right. But it is possible for all of you. And I said at the start that I would give you guys an opportunity, if you want to book a call with me to go through your own strategy. I'm more than happy to do that. I have opened my diary up, but I only do 10 of them a month. So I feel free to book in, but they generally go very quickly. So I apologize if the slots go before you get a chance to book one, but don't forget, I do sessions like this on a regular basis. So if you want a free strategy call, we're going to discuss your own social selling strategy, look at where things can be improved, and give you the help that you guys need. And we'll talk about some solutions to help you if you want to do that. There is absolutely no obligation to do that whatsoever. You can literally just point your camera at the QR code on the screen, and that will take you through to my diary. You can book in a call. It's only open for the next couple of days, like between now and Tuesday next week. So feel free to book in one of those calls. If you stay on with me just now, I'm going to go to a Q&A because we've got about 5 minutes left. Steve, you said strategy call. For those of you that are wanting one of those, you can literally just do that. If on phone, how do I point to a camera? What I'll do is I'll pop it in the chat box if you are on the phone, because I have a little link for you to go to. So that's a very good point. Thank you, Caroline. So you're going to go to socialselling.co.uk and then meet with Sam. Just check that I've done it right. So that's the link if you want to book. And if you want to point your phone at the screen, if you aren't on your phone, feel free to put one of those in. I am going to leave it up on screen when I go to the questions. So if you don't get a chance to do it, then feel free to pop that through. So now we're going to go to a live Q&A. You can literally ask me anything. I've got a couple of questions in the questions area already, so I'm going to start with those. I will stay on a bit longer than 3 if you guys need me to. I'm more than happy to do that. Hopefully you found this useful. Feel free to give me some love in the reactions. Let's look at these. Right, Laura, you said, hi Sam, is there somewhere we can find details of all of your upcoming webinars? They're great. Yes, there is. So the featured section of my LinkedIn profile, which I didn't talk about today, but feel free to go and have a look, has got my audio rooms, my sales navigator workshops, and will have the next one of these already up there. So if you've already registered for this one, you'll naturally get notified about future ones for the LinkedIn lead gen ones, but go to my featured section of my profile and register for those there. Steve, is it reasonable to get to 16 to 18 on the purple or green score on the SSI score? Yes, it is, if you have Sales Navigator. If you don't have Sales Navigator, be a bit more tricky, because quite a lot of the contributing points on the purple and green are linked to your Sales Navigator activity. Many of the people I search for only have follow or message. What should I do there? So you can connect with them. I would go second degree first off, because you won't find that they've got that. If they do have follow only, you can actually go to the ... button on their profile and actually find the connect button there. So it's fairly easy to get around. Danielle, you've said, what is the maximum weekly invites for free LinkedIn? Free LinkedIn and Sales Navigator and Premium are all the same, Danielle. So 150 to 200. Find out what your number is just by maxing it out each week. It will reset on a certain day of the week. For most people, that's a Sunday, but not always. John, I love your question. Please tell us about any in-person speaking gigs you have booked for the coming months. John Esperian's on the line, everybody. Say hi to John. John, I am so excited to speak at Uplift Live. It's in March 2025, and it's the only conference in the UK dedicated to LinkedIn. All the LinkedIn nerds will be there. Every LinkedIn expert, speaker, guru is going to be in the room. And I am very, very fortunate to have been invited to speak at that event. So John, feel free to pop the link for the early bird tickets. I know that there's only a few left into the chat box, John, so that people can actually register for that. The early bird ticket price will go up, I think, at the end of the month. So make sure that you definitely do that. Can't wait, John. I'm super excited. Woohoo! Funmedia, you said, do you offer services to help engagement with corporate LinkedIn pages? Absolutely, I do. Book one of those calls and we can chat about company page strategy and how I help from a marketing perspective with corporates for sure. Young One, you said, is it worth accepting non-ideal client connection requests? Love this question. Yes, it is for this reason. So when you connect with one person on LinkedIn, you're not just connecting with that one person. So for those of you that have just connected with me today, I have almost 30,000 first degree connections. So what that means is when you add Sam Rathling, you add Sam Rathling to your first degree network, but you add all of my 30,000 connections, first degree, are now in your second degree network. And now you know that I've just showed you how to find your ideal client in your second degree network. The person that's asking you to connect might not be your ideal client, but all the people in their network could be, one of them could be an ideal client for you. So don't just take it on face value and go, well, I'm not going to connect with them because they aren't my perfect ideal client. Think about, do they have your ideal client in their networks? And that will be where you would decide. I have a few rules about, for myself in terms of my boundaries on do I or don't I accept. So the first thing is they need to have a photograph and they need to have a half decent profile. If somebody's grayed out box, either has a corporate logo or something in their photo, or it's very obviously a fake profile, I don't connect with them. But that's one of my key things. The next thing I would say is I just look and have a look at their profile and just check them out. Generally 95% of the time I will connect with people, but if I think that they're immediately going to pitch and sell me, if they're from an outreach company or a LinkedIn lead gen company that's automated their request and clearly hasn't used any filtering to check that I'm the right person to connect with, I just won't. But in general, I would say, yes, it's okay to do that, but because of the second degree part of it. Good. Right, let's have a look. I've answered that one. Let's see if there's any more. We are bang on time. That's very good, Sam Rathling. Let me just see here. Okay, good. So for those of you that have booked calls, I'm super excited to chat with you. We're going to sort out what's missing. We're going to look at where you can improve, things like that. We will have a chat about how I might be able to help you. But as I say, these are every single month. I do this lead generation one. The next one of these specifically, where we'll cover the second one of the 8 actions, is going to be on the 22nd of October. I've got 2 LinkedIn audio rooms and I've got a sales navigator workshop as well. I love doing these free sessions, and thank you so much to every single one of you that has stayed on and given me your time. I appreciate you doing that. And as I say, I did say it at the beginning, but in case you missed it, for everyone that has supported me on my cancer journey, has sent me messages or has commented on my posts, sending me love and support, it just means so much. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you all. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one of these. And feel free to give me a recommendation on LinkedIn, or if you'd like to donate to my charity for Cancer Research UK, just drop me a private message and I'll pop you the link as a little thank you. If you wouldn't mind giving me a 5 or a 10 to my 100K target, I'd love that. So thank you, everybody. I will see you all soon. And remember, if you're not linked in, you're totally linked out. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.